We were stunned by that. We have this little store, and all of a sudden people started coming. And the kids were autistic, they had Crohn's disease, he had prostate cancer, she had breast cancer, you name it. And they sat at those tables in that little store and they told us their problems and allergies and chemical resistant problems. And they said, we came looking for clean food. Here we are. Just like in humans, you know, we have dogs, cows, horses, humans. We're all affected by the food that is a production product. And if it has chemicals in it, it is going to affect the outcome of the growth of the animal.
Sure.
In humans, we have ADD, ADHD, right? And we know, I've been to the Weston Price programs, that is a direct result of pesticides in our food, right? So when we're spraying alfalfa fields for bugs, and then we're harvesting that with a chemical in there, feeding it to the cow, she's pregnant, so the calf comes out and it's just a lunatic. And we think, boy, those cows are crazy. That guy owns some crazy cows. It's not the genetics. It's the man's alteration of those genes that we've done through chemicals in gestation. And the effect even goes further, because if that calf in there is a female, by the time she's born, exposed to chemicals, those ovaries in her already have the chemical, whatever you call it, the damage is done.
Wow.
So when that calf grows up and has a baby, it could be neurotic, it could have problems, it could have an ADD, because it's carried multi-generations like that. Wow. We see that today with like the DDT from post-World War II, where it's the grandkids that have the problem. Those are things that aren't really expressed in our society, but they exist. And they're told to us at seminars. These are explained to us by doctors.
We're paying attention to all of those changes. Yes. Going back to your operation, some wrap up. After the animals are slaughtered, some of them are made into, I mean, frozen, I imagine, butchered, frozen. Some of at least your pork, is turned into other products. Do you have processing here, or is that part of your operation, or what happens there?
We use butcher shops to do that, but yeah, out of the beef we might make a summer sausage and hot dogs out of some of the hamburger. But we make patty hamburgers, and we cut all cuts of meat. Everything we sell is frozen. Because small farms don't have the ability to deliver on a regular basis fresh products. It doesn't work. Plus, we're not allowed to go with a fresh, unthawed product to a farmer's market. We're required to have it frozen. So it seems to work that way and works well. Out of the pork, we make a lot of sausages. People like sausage. And in doing so, we do ham, we do bacon, and it's well received. We try to use older recipes. We use no fillers, no emulsifiers, binders, no phosphates to retain water. We just use spices and meat. And some of our methods like ham and bacon, we brine them and age them over time instead of rapid use of vacuum tumblers and modern machinery that has to get them out in a hurry. We kind of do it the old-fashioned way. And we think it turns out better. For what we're doing, it's well received by our customers.
Yeah, I count us in on that one.
Did you like the bacon?
Yes, indeed. Little sweet. It's a little sweet for
We
us.
like it sweet.
But beyond
You're
that,
not
it's
used to
very
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of sweet stuff.
No, people call
So-
it cracked bacon. They get addicted. You eat one slice.
Yes, yes, that is certainly true. So you mentioned the farmers markets. So the bigger question is, how do you distribute, how do you sell all of your products?
My wife handles all of that. I tell people I run the shovel around here.
And ACO sells it all,
Yeah,
right?
she does that. And it has to be done right. Anybody can grow chickens, and I have people tell me lots of stories. Anybody can grow beef. A lot of farmers across the country grow beef, but selling it's another story. Maintaining a steady inventory to supply restaurants. It's a timing issue. If you sell a half quarter beef to somebody, you have to get the cutting right. Everybody wants it a little bit different. And so there's a lot in marketing, and quality is paramount. One bad animal ruins it all.
Yeah.
So you have to have things perfect, and you have to do that in a certain way, your own way, I guess. Get your labels. It's a lot of work. You got to go to the USDA to get a label approved. Then we're certified organic. We have to get the organic end of it approved besides the regular processing, and it's a lot of work.
And I see that you've got them in some of the local growers markets down in Seattle and area, and restaurants. And you have a farm store, so people come here and
It's
what,
kind
mail order?
of, she calls it thirds. A third goes to farmers market, a third goes to families, and a third goes to stores and restaurants.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we do restaurants in Seattle, Tacoma, and grocery stores, but not too many restaurants because everybody wants it wholesale. Restaurants have to get it on a plate, they have to get it on the menu, print a menu, and get a product out there. And by golly, you better have your price right and make a profit, because 6 months down the road, the restaurant still has that same menu and they need it at the same price, you know, because it's printed at that. And they have to have a margin. So, and it's a tough world out there. And our products actually cost more. First off, we're not subsidized by the government.
Sure.
There's no subsidy here.
Yes.
And it's all labor. This little farm supports 9 families.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
You know, let me tell you this. There was an article in the Seattle Times just 2 months ago about jobs, jobs, jobs. Obama's trying to get us jobs, and it said in there that if we Americans bought something bought $68 made in USA, every one of us, we could put 200,000 people to work tomorrow. So I say, hey, let's go to a farmer's market this summer, spend $68, and look at all the people we put to work.
Yes.
You know, we're feeding all these families. There's not a big profit in farming. You know, we have 900 farms in the valley here, and 10% of them show a profit. So
wow.
it's a job you create for yourself and hope you balance out at the end of the year.
I hope that as more people get onto eating the kinds of products like you're making, that will turn the ship towards more profitability for farmers, because
well, it costs more, and some people want it,
yeah,
but can't afford it.
That's true.
So I always tell them, buy a pound of hamburger, it goes a long ways. It's got fat in it. Our fat is good fat, it's omega-3.
What you have is you've got nutrient-dense food, and what we have found is that a little bit goes a whole lot further than stuff that's full of
Let me put it to you
grains.
this way. We supersize in America, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Supersize because we are craving, like a pregnant woman craves nutrition. We're craving what's not in our food. So we turn around and we supersize to just fill our belly up to try to satisfy our craving for nutrition that's not in the food, and then we go to super supplements and buy what we're not getting in the food. And you know, I tell people, you take that vitamin mineral supplement, crunch it up and throw it in your garden and eat the lettuce, you're better off. Those minerals have to go through a microbe first. That's the key to all this, getting back to the microbes in the soil that can break the elements down. You know, what's on the periodic table in science class, we have to break those trace elements down small enough that they can be absorbed through a cell wall. And we're off and running then. We're getting the nutrition we need. We can build an immune system. We can be resistant to virus because we have healthy cells that don't let virus invade. And it's done through nutrition.
It's done through the microbes. I mean, that's really, they don't talk to us about.
They're the bottom of our food chain. Just like the ocean, you look at the big fish eats a littler fish that eats the plankton eats the algae. You know, it's the small end of it that feeds the big end. It's that algae that makes the DHA, the omega-3 in the water, that makes it in the fish. The omega-3 in the cattle comes from the grass. So
you're a grass farmer.
Oh, definitely.
As you said.
And grow microbes.
You're a microbe farmer. I love it. Are there other things, this is one, that we haven't talked about, other practices, other things on the top of your mind? I want to make sure we get all we can from you here.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
What's on my mind?
Well, I know, well, actually, I'll ask you. I know that some of your practices are biodynamic. Is that the right word?
Oh yeah, all our compost is biodynamic.
And what does that mean?
Well, Rudolf Steiner back in the 20s, he did a lot of things. He set up the Waldorf School, the banking system we use today in the world, how we collect interest on money and all was set up by him. I guess Library of Congress holds 600 of his books. He was a genius. And the Austrian farmers said, hey, our soil's depleted, how do we improve it? Well, first off, he apparently claims he was clairvoyant. He could see the horns of an animal glow from frequency. And so he takes a cow horn, puts manure in it, buries it in the ground for a year, and it comes out with a compost that has an energy in it. And they stir it in a bucket of water and take that energy from that compost to the water and then spread the water out over the land. And it gives it a vitality that makes things grow. And at first I kind of laughed, you know. Oh yeah, we're gonna put poop in a horn and make the field grow, huh?
Sounds pretty odd.
But they farm like 5 million acres like that in Australia and New Zealand. And they put silica in a horn, and then he used to take a piece of intestine from a cow, stuff a flower in it, and hang that up, and then a bladder out of a stag, which was the European deer, and they put a flower in that, might bury that in the ground, and they picked horse tails, and had 9 different potions they made. They mixed together and created a compost. Today we call those bacteria cultures. And it's still,
all right.
And I've sent my compost, I've given it to the extension people out here growing these gardens, and they've sampled it, and you know, they come back and say the lab says it's some of the best compost they've ever seen. First off, we're organic. Second, it has chicken byproducts in it, the cow offal. It has manure in it from all these animals. Plus it has all the shavings, and it's just everything, plus soil. We always put some of the soil in the compost because those are the minerals that we want the animals that can live off of that type of mineral that's in our soil, I would say indigenous microbes, to propagate in that compost. And compost is an inoculant as much as it is a fertilizer. You spread it real thin all over, or people make compost tea by bubbling it aerobically to multiply the microbes and spread it. And it's those microbes that go in the soil, break down the dead grass and whatever, and make those nutrients available to the plant. When we throw fertilizer out and our lawn greens up, there's some microbe in there that took that from a nitrite into a nitrate, into an amino nitrate that can be absorbed by the plant. There's 5 different types of nitrates. So it has to be an ammonia nitrate, amino nitrate to be absorbed. So that compost is what we use as a biodynamic starter, and it makes a really good product. that is an inoculant for the whole farm.
Wow.
Isn't that
Wow.
something?
Wow.
So this Rudolf Steiner invented this back then, and we have the Josephine Porter Institute. You can read about biodynamic on the internet. There's a lot to read, and these people believe in all these energies, and we use that. But just like in medicine, there is no silver bullet. I see people come up and say, oh, I do this type of farming or that type of farming. Nah, you gotta collectively use the best of the combination to make it all work. You have to do that soil sample. You have to have the calcium and the trace minerals correct before anything's gonna work. Because your microbes are the key to the system. The electrolytes in the soil have to be right. And anything will grow after that. And then you just tweak it a little bit for what crop you're trying to put on top.
I never knew there was so much to farming / ranching. I mean, you must be learning all the time. I mean, lifelong learning here, trying new things.
Isn't everything lifelong,
well,
you know?
Well,
yeah, well, I study it because since it was an illness in the beginning that started all this, and I know that now I can keep an animal healthy without pharmaceuticals through proper nutrition. And then one day, hey, I can do that with me too. So our garden has all the right juju in it, and we raise all these vegetables, and we try to grow all this food for our family. And that's how everything we did, every sausage we made and bacon, we did so we could eat it first. A food that we could trust and feel good when we ate it, and not be skeptical. And that doesn't mean if we go out, we eat anything. You know, if we go to somebody's house, we're not going to sit there and pick through it. We eat it all, but
most of the time,
we can produce it. And like my wife says, we never sell anything we wouldn't feed to our daughter. You know, that's just how it is.
I can see that. I love the line. Skagit River Ranch. We won't feed you anything we wouldn't feed our beloved daughter.
Yeah, that's
really,
it.
really.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for. I mean, thank you for all of all the people that take benefit from. You didn't limit yours to just a few cows. You took what you want for yourselves, what you're producing for yourselves, and expanded the operations enough so that a whole lot of other people can benefit who don't have that ability.
You know, we were stunned by that. We have this little store, and all of a sudden people started coming. And the kids were autistic, they had Crohn's disease, he had prostate cancer, she had breast cancer, you name it. And they sat at those tables in that little store and they told us their problems and allergies and chemical resistant problems. And they said, we came looking for clean food. Here we are. And you could see by the turnout at the party Saturday that those people all cared.
Yeah.
You know, and you could walk up to any of those people and carry on a decent conversation. You know, they were just good homegrown folks that care.
And I imagine that many of those people aren't there just because of, say, the taste, but because they can feel the difference and they know it makes a difference for their health and their kids' health.
We have people tell us, I eat your meat, I can sleep at night. You know, I can't tell you that I've been 20 years a vegetarian and I've never been able to eat meat until your farm came along. That happens all the time. We were vegetarian raw at one time, so, you know, we know how people feel. They're trying to stay as healthy as they possibly can, and, you know, humane treatment to animals is one of our three main, you know, sustainable and certified organic are the three rules we live by. And that means a lot to our family. So you're not going to take those girls, and we don't own a shock prod, and we don't beat. When we want the cows to come home, we call them. They come when they're called. That's the
I
truth.
can believe that. Thank you. This has been a good conversation.
Oh, you're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Maybe another time we'll get together, and if you need to focus on one little thing, we'll help you.
This has been wonderful. You've been enjoying a conversation with Farmer George. I'm Janaea Donaldson. Join us next time.